Now, last week, you may remember the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, said that getting over 50s back to work is a big part of his plans to address persistent shortages in the labour market. It's thought the number of over 50s not working has now jumped from 37,000 to 308,000. That's since 2020. Well, one idea to address this has been job coaches to be stationed at GP surgeries with the aim of getting unemployed over 50s back into the workplace. Let's talk about this now with Dr. Shriti Patani, who's president of the Society of Occupational Medicine, which has piloted the initiative in a number of surgeries. Thank you for being with us. What has been the result from the pilots that have been done so far?
Thank you for inviting me to speak about this, Ben. Well, we're still at an early stage in terms of the pilots, but what we're finding is that people who are out of work or in work but maybe not well or having trouble at work are much more likely to see work coaches who are placed in a GP practice rather than going to the job centre. And we're also finding that actually those that do see the job coaches are either leaving the caseload because they've got a new job or a more appropriate job, or in fact they have returned to work whilst they've been off, maybe sick prior to seeing the work coach. So the initial results are very encouraging. We hope to have some more concrete results later this year. And what we're finding is both GPs are referring to the work coaches, but also people are referring each other. So patients are talking to each other or family members who then go along and see the job coach. So lots of positive feedback at the moment.
I talked in the introduction there about the huge number of people, the huge rise in the number of over 50s who have left the workplace. Why do you think, I mean, we know that's partly the pandemic, isn't it, the result of the pandemic, but what are the main reasons you think those people aged 50 and above have decided they don't want to be working anymore?
So definitely multifactorial, and there's no real consensus, but several cited reasons which I'll talk you through. A change in demographics of our population, with a larger number that are reaching the 50+ bracket, and also a change in lifestyle. I think COVID for some people gave them an opportunity to evaluate work-life balance. So there's certainly an element of that. And then long-term ill health. And we know that there is a contribution of long-term conditions leading to unemployment and the economically inactive. And finally, changes in the government, changes in the pension scheme and people being able to get their pensions earlier, so perhaps a bit more financial flexibility in your 50s and early 60s.
But even if you can persuade people to go back into the workplace, the over 50s, then the challenge is also to persuade companies and employers to take them back, isn't it? And to employ older people, maybe somebody, you know, in their late 50s or early 60s. And those employers might say, well, do I really want to spend a lot of time and money training somebody who maybe is going to retire in another 3 or 4 years, say?
Yes, and I think there are certainly lots of benefits of having 50+ and even those in their 60s in the workplace. Lots of transferable skills, lots of experience, but also people are living longer and therefore working longer. And certainly for some employers, particularly at this time, the way the labour market is, probably and hopefully you know, an investment worth making. The idea of seeing a work coach really is to support that individual, but also potentially support the employer to provide some flexibility. And I think that's one of the big things that people in their 50s and 60s want. Their life may have changed, they may have caring responsibilities, and actually having flexibility can be really useful. But also the world of work has changed and there's much more hybrid working. So you know, I do believe there's a place here for employers to consider employment of those over 50s and in their 60s.
OK, Dr. Shriti Patani there, President of the Society of Occupational Medicine. Many thanks for coming into the studio. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Ben.